Well, hello and welcome. Again, this is David Michael Lanou from LighthouseHolisticRecovery.com. Hope you're doing well this evening. I wanted to share a few thoughts with you tonight. I talk a lot about being comfortable in your own skin. And if any of you have been in addiction recovery for even a short amount of time, you understand that when we're using drugs, we get severely disconnected from our true selves. I think addiction is kind of like a parasite. It attaches itself to everything we love and it destroys everything. So the first thing it does is it comes into our lives and it kind of severs the connection we have with our true self. And then it kind of goes from there and spreads itself out, and it begins to disconnect us from our ecosystem, everybody we care about, everything and everybody we care about. So it's no wonder that when we do get clean and sober, for a time, we're not comfortable in our own skin. I mean, part of that is because depending on how long you've been using, the concentration of drugs you've been using, the things that you have done, the behaviors that you've acquired over the period of time that you've been using, it's no wonder why when we're sober, we're uncomfortable. We don't even know who we are. We can't remember the things that we loved or the connections or how those connections worked. There's been a lot of damage to the dynamics of our friendships and our families and how we interact. So being comfortable in your own skin, there's so much involved in that. I take it back to, I try to tell everybody to try to go back to your childhood and remember the things that made you happy before you understood what substances were, before you were introduced to any substances. Try to remember, what was it that made you tick? What were the gifts that you discovered about yourself as you were getting older? The things that you're really good at, the things that you do that kind of raise the hair on your arms because it feels so good when you do it. All these things we have to become reacquainted with. And if you're going to be comfortable in your own skin, you have to have a pretty clear idea of who you are and the things that make you tick, or the things that give you joy, or the things that make you love and enjoy life. I think what's important to understand when you start this journey is, when we're children, we never really have a chance to self-actualize. What do I mean by that? Well, before we even know anything about who we are or even begin to think about it, we're being told things by our parents, by our relatives, by teachers, our peers. We're being told things about ourselves. And what's sad about that is a lot of the things that we hear are potentially not true, right? But we take them on and we make them part of who we are, right? If you've read anything about the Four Agreements, you understand the power of the word and the things that we say to people and how they can really take an effect on someone's life. So in order to get comfortable with your own skin, I mean, this is my own revelation that I'll share with you guys, but for me, it was sitting down quietly with myself and first of all, figuring out who I'm not, right? And that means segregating everything I've ever heard about myself that wasn't true, things that I took on as being true, but really knew that they weren't. And I think sometimes we do that just to go along to get along. We don't want to push back, and so we make that part of who we are. And as we travel through life, we pick up all these different garments, so to speak, and we put them on and we wear them and they become who we are. But I think what the end product, the thing that we end up becoming, is really not who we were supposed to be, who we were meant to be. I mean, we don't even have a clue what that was because we never really had a chance to figure it out for ourselves. So for me, it was sitting down quietly and segregating all those things I had heard over the years, not only from other people, but things that I told myself that probably weren't true. And for me to become comfortable in my own skin, it was a matter of just realizing who I really am in my true essence without all the external stimuli or static or whatever you want to call it, the messages that I receive from the outside, right? So what I'm saying is I sat down quietly with myself, I segregated all these things out, and I brought myself down to just the bare essentials of who I am, right? I wake up every morning, I go out of my way to help people if it's within my power. I usually have a smile for everyone. I talk to random strangers, and and basically I feel like I'm pretty kind most of the time to most people. And it was those few things that I settled on as my true nature. And I felt for the first time, I think it was 10 years into sobriety, for the first time I felt comfortable in my own skin, because I think I was making it too complicated, as we sometimes do, trying to figure out who we are, right? We just need to bring it down to our bare essence. And if you can live with that, then I think it's can be easy to be comfortable in your own skin. It doesn't have to be so complicated. But also understanding that being comfortable in your own skin is a moment-to-moment thing. I mean, we're not always going to be happy with who we are. I mean, I might be going along and having a great day and feeling really good about myself, and I might do or say something stupid or hurtful, and then I'm at odds with myself, and maybe I'm not okay with who I am at that moment. But the key to that is I can make amends for the mistakes I make. And if I do make mistakes, it still doesn't mean that my true nature has changed. I'm still that good person, right? I mean, we all make mistakes and we're human. The important thing is to bring yourself back to, who am I really? That's not who I am. That's just a mistake I made. This is who I really am. You know, kind-hearted, giving, a serving person. And I think it's just important that we constantly remind ourselves that we're not our mistakes. We're definitely not a culmination of our past, although that gives us a lot of our character, right? We pick and choose the things that are healthy and helpful for us as we move forward. So I guess to make a long story short, right? If you want to be comfortable in your own skin, try to discard all the things about yourself that you know aren't true. Sit down and find out what your true essence is and see if you can be okay with that. And if you can, then cut yourself a little slack, love yourself, and just sit back and say, yeah, you know what? In this moment, I'm okay with who I am. That could change at any time, but it doesn't change my nature. Remember, we all make mistakes, right? And I think the other thing is, a lot of us keep searching our past because we think our past defines us, but I think our past is part of our character, but I think what really defines us is what we do in the moment, in the present, right now. I can't change anything in the past, and I definitely can't do anything, you know, about my future because I'm not clairvoyant, but I can love myself now, I can respect myself now, and I can be okay with who I am right now. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go. I don't want it to go too long. Again, this is David Michael Lanou from LighthouseHolisticRecovery.com. I really appreciate the time I get to spend with you guys. Remember, you can get my phone number off the website, or you can email me at david.m.lanoue@gmail.com. And just have a great night. I really appreciate it again. Thank you.